On. Yes. Hey guys. All right. I don't have the live chat up yet. I only have a few minutes to my next session. Somebody didn't show for me today. Someone was a no-show. Shame, shame, shame. Let me see. I'm just trying to get the live chat up. I wanted to talk a little bit about how important it is that you, oh, I wanted to also talk about religious, like clashing on religious beliefs too, but I don't think I'll have enough time for that. But you can't let your past control you. And without with in respect with, my mom and with Hannah, how I've manifested, both of them is that I do like to be very professional and I don't like to swear a lot, but I'm going to like kind of, it's not going to be like totally profane, but if you are allowing your past and your baggage to control you, you are basically being your past bitch. I don't know how else to say it. So, if you want to enjoy your life and you want to enjoy having the love that you deserve, having the money that you deserve, the success in whatever area, being healthy and all that, stop being your past bitch. I don't know how else to say it. But, and I don't mean that in a, it's the truth. If I see a lot of different circumstances. And I've also heard a lot of amazing stories of how, when somebody just kind of let go and went into their heart space and went into their trust and knew, like, while you're manifesting, you're not doing it from a place of lack. You're doing it from a place of power, strength, confidence, trust, and that that, the higher level of operating here is that that it's already done. So if you know that it's already done, yeah, things will come up in your 3D and yes, they'll be painful and they'll suck, but take it, step back from it, observe it, and make a new decision and then stick to that decision. And trust me, I know somebody's like, pop off. I know that uh, it can be very hard because when you are faced with your demons, it sucks and it hurts and it can feel so hard to get back in your place of power. But be gentle, be kind, be nurturing, compassionate with yourself. Because in those moments, I know a lot of teachers mean very well when they say, just go into your God state. Just go into knowing that it's done and knowing that you're the creator of everything. And that is, really great advice. But when we have deep wounds, I've manifested a lot of things in my life. I've manifested like very powerfully in my life. But when I'm faced with my deepest and darkest wound, which unfortunately my baby has to reflect that back to me, that in that moment, that's going to hurt. And if it takes it might not be, I might not be able to just shift instantly. I might be down for a little while. I might need to really, kind of heal that little part of me that was being shown to me. And so I wanted to talk about, particularly, I want to talk about faith-based backgrounds and how sometimes that can show up as being something, a circumstance, but this is not something that you have to worry about because God is God and religion is not God. Religion is religion. God is in control. The God that created you, the God that created galaxies and everything that ever was and everything that ever will be, created everything already. It already exists and everything, creation is done. It has always been done. It always will be done. It was done before you even were born. So when you are super, like you feel it deep down in your soul, like you can literally feel, I was created for this. I'm meant for that. This is my person, whatever. It doesn't matter if it's religion, age gaps, long distance, third parties, whatever your story is, none of that matters to God. God's got it. And you just have to like detach. And I like to detach early on in the morning, but I want to talk a little bit about something that happened in my reality recently. And it was very cathartic. And I just have to, oh my goodness, I'm trying to plug something in here. Well, I'm going to have to just let it be. I only have like 5 more minutes to say this. Maybe if I push it 8 or 9 minutes, but then I'm right up against my session. Doesn't matter. Um, so without talking about personal details about me and my Marisol's stuff, because I'm not going to do that, especially because I don't want to reinfect myself with it. That topic did come up between us. And we have found ways like where we pray together and where we worship together. And while on the surface in the 3D, we have different ways of seeing God, at the end of the day, when things are good, it doesn't matter. But that is a wound that I had from growing up. And unfortunately, like I had, so I'll talk about this a little bit. You guys know that I had some, emotional verbal abuse from my father, from my grandfather, and with my brother, whom I love very much. Unfortunately, at a young age, he rejected me and actually our entire family because he started going to this particular church. And through that, he ended up basically saying that, we were all going to go to hell. And something that was extremely painful was that, and I'm not going to cry, I refuse to cry, but, as a kid growing up, my brother, whom I love very much, is suddenly now acting like a completely different person. He has locked himself in his room. I don't have access to him anymore. And he's saying that I am basically defective and I am going to go to hell. And this hurts very much because on a deep level, I knew that something was wrong, that no, like God, this isn't God. This isn't love. Like this isn't true. And I had an awakening when I was very young. It was a very unique experience. I was so young, and I would have this thing that would happen every once in a while. First, I could sense like this beautiful pureness in my heart. I always sensed that something that I wasn't, necessarily seeing was always protecting me and loving me. But also, I would have this experience that when I would sleep, I would have this sense of like being as tiny as a speck of dust, but as expansive. I couldn't put it into words, but it was this feeling of this knowing. So I always felt that. So when he would say this stuff, I'm like, no, this isn't true. And we would actually have debates at a young age. I'm having these debates about like God. And so I remember I asked him if he could just take a picture of me and my girlfriend in the driveway at my parents' home. And he said, oh, I'm sorry. He said, I'm sorry, but I can't. It goes against my religion. You're going to go to hell. And I was like I literally, like I felt so horrible. It was so painful. And I was like, Mikey, I'm your sister. Like, I love you. I just want you to take a picture. He's like, I'm sorry, I can't. And I was just like devastated, almost to the point where I was feeling like almost like suicidal, like it was horrible. And so I was crying to my mom. My mom, went to my brother and said, like, I'm not going to say what she said, but basically she said her piece with it. And that was that. But the problem was that the damage of that happened and I wasn't aware of it. So then I carried that through my life. Okay. I carried that wound along with the other ones. And that was now part of my baggage because I didn't realize that that was such a deep, painful experience to have someone that you love very much at a young age withdraw all of their love from you, withdraw their attention from you, isolate themselves, and then tell you that you're going to hell and that you don't know who God is. That was a very harsh thing to experience. So I've had a lot of clients where ritualistic abuse was part of their growing up, that, similar kinds of things. And this can be something that, you can just look at and make a choice. If it does come up, religious differences between you and your specific person, you can just recognize that this doesn't have to be a wedge between us, that God created us for each other. So if God wants us together, then I'm just going to hand that right over to God, and God will figure out a way for us to be able to love and to be able to see eye to eye with this. Okay. And then I just leave it up to God. And I don't ever think of God being separate from me. God is never separate from me. I'm never separate from God, but I am living out this human experience. So what happened recently, without going into personal stuff again about me and my marisol, something I was going through some healing of that wound with my brother. And I was crying and I was like letting myself give myself the love. And I decided I'm done with this wound. I'm done with this baggage. So I went into, while I was crying, I energetically knew that there was that little part of me who felt rejected by him, who's part of one of the reasons why I run away from love. I shut myself down to allowing myself to be loved. And this is one of the reasons, or it used to be. But I imagined the same moment in the driveway with him. This was when I was deeply triggered, and I revised that entire experience. And I said what I had to say to him, and basically, kind of what happened in real life, 3D real life, right? And then I allowed myself to hear him say, you know what? You're right. You're right. I love you. And God created us and loves us exactly how we are. So I'm really sorry, Kimmy, that I did that to you. Can you please forgive me? And I imagine that we hugged and I cried and all this and that. And then I just kind of imagined that we were back like brother and sister. So in the 3D, for years of my life, it's almost like I just had to keep my distance because it was too painful. What happened after I did that revision, here's the key. After I did that revision, because we've always been very distant since then. About, I don't know, because I'm blurry with time, let's say it was about 3 or 4 weeks ago, he called me out of nowhere after I did that revision. He called me, and I only had about 5 minutes to talk to him because I was about to go on with a client. And something inside me said, say this. So I basically said, Mikey, I love you and I don't blame you for this, but I have to tell you something because I have forgiven you. But when you did this was part of the reason why for so many years I'm like afraid to let people love me because at a young age, it's like you took yourself away from me and you told me I was going to hell. And that made me so afraid to let anybody in. And so I've lived my life because of what dad did, because of grandpa did, and kind of what you did, being afraid to allow myself to just be loved. And so I run away from love and I push people away because of that. And I said, no, I'm really not meaning to blame you for it. I don't want you to feel bad for this at all because I know that you love me and I love you, but I just have to let you know that. And then I got the apology. I got the apology in the 3D that I needed. And he said, Kimmy, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't remember word for word, but I needed to hear it so badly. He said, Kimmy, I love you. And I'm so sorry to hear that. And I'm sorry that I did that to you. And you didn't deserve that. And it wasn't how I really felt. I was pretty much brainwashed. And I hope you know that I am sorry. And I needed to hear that. And I want to just step back from this and just say that now that I've healed that little part of me, I know for me and my mirror soul that now that I've released that baggage, I've put it down, I know that I can now allow God to be the mediator and basically all right, I'm about to have to end this, but you see the movie City of Angels with Nicolas Cage and Meg Ryan, which I love that movie so much. But in the movie how Nicolas Cage, like as the angel, he would go like you would see him in a scene with somebody, and as the angel, he would just kind of, I just think it's such a cute way of thinking about this. He would just kind of like give the person love to change their mind, give the person love to see love, to be compassionate, all this and that. Like I kind of imagine, I know it's corny and silly and everything, but I like to imagine that when I'm mediating God to anyone in my reality, like healing in any way, shape, or form, that like God is just like, you can do it however you want, but God is just like loving and like saying like, it's okay. And God is going to be loving and saying with Hannah, it's okay. You guys love each other. Like, you can both love me. You can love me in different ways. It's okay. It doesn't matter. This doesn't come between the two of you guys because all of creation is done. Okay. All of creation is done, or you wouldn't even want it. You wouldn't have the desire for whatever it is because God created everything all at once. Okay. So it's already done with you and your person. This was specific around, obviously a very specific issue, but I'm going to bring it back to the topic. The headline of this today is stop letting your past control you and stop being your past's bitch. Okay. You don't want your past. whether it's around religious belief systems, whether it's around age differences, long distance, whatever the issue was growing up that you were abandoned, you were rejected. Stop letting that stuff control you. Stop living in your past. And now, in terms of manifestation, drop the old story. Because when you continue to regurgitate the old story over and over and over in your mind, you're just reinfecting yourself, and you're just going to have to keep experiencing that in your 3D. Okay. It's really that simple. It's kind of black and white, period, point blank. Continue being aware and frustrated of your old story and your old circumstance, even with your SP. And then you're just keeping that alive in your reality. Then you get movement and you get a taste of the old, and you go back into your 3D wound again. Stop yourself, step back from it. Do whatever you need to do in those moments to give yourself the love that you need. Go back, detach it from your person, go back within and imagine yourself hearing what you needed to hear from whomever caused the harm when you were growing up. Hear them apologize to you. Let that little energetic part of you that's active within you, that's being shown to you through your trigger, through your reaction, let that little part of you feel apologize to you from the person that caused the harm, not from your specific person. Release it, let it go, and then allow God to do what God needs to do. Okay. I love you so much. I got to go. My other client might be on right now waiting. So if you are on, I apologize profusely. I love you guys so much. And I know for a fact that this is what many of you guys needed to hear. So don't allow anything to get in the way. None of it matters. Focus, heart to heart, soul to soul. Technically, it's one soul that you're sharing. That's all you need to focus on. Go deep, deep, deep into that space of union between you and your person. Okay. I love you. Have an amazing, amazing day. All right. I got to go. My client's going to kill me. Bye. Mwah.